A French missionary priest who came to America in the late 1700s and who would later help co-found the University of Michigan could one day be declared a saint. A new guild is being formed to examine the life of Father Gabriel Richard to explore the possibility that he may one day be canonized. Father Richard was the first assistant pastor and later pastor of St. Anne's Catholic Church in Detroit, Michigan. Earlier this year, the church became the Basilica of St. Anne and is the second oldest continually operated Catholic parish in the country. Msgr. Charles Kosanke is the Basilica's pastor and rector and joins us now on Skype from Detroit. Msgr., thank you so much for being on today. We really appreciate it. Can you tell us a little bit more about Father Richard's life?
Oh, absolutely. Father Richard belonged to the Society of the Priests of Saint Sulpice, which is commonly known as the Sulpicians. And their mission was always seminary teaching formation. So a couple of seminaries in the United States have had Sulpicians, and there's at least two that still do. Their U.S. headquarters is in Baltimore. So Father Richard came to the United States in the late 18th century because of the massacre in France at the time of Catholic clergy and religious. And so he arrived in Baltimore with the understanding that he would be a professor at the seminary, which he was trained to be. But when he arrived, there was no openings. All the staff positions were filled. So Bishop Carroll thought, well, he knows French. I need a French priest up in the by Detroit. So he was sent as a missionary priest to the French-speaking community in Detroit. St. Anne, so it became the associate of St. Anne's Parish in 1798, and then in 1802 became the pastor. And he was pastor for the next 30 years, really, until 1832, when he passed away heroically during the cholera epidemic in Detroit, ministering to sick and dying parishioners.
Such a fascinating life. The forming of the guild, I know, does not mean a cause for canonization is open yet at the Vatican. That said, what exactly is the purpose of the guild?
The purpose of the guild is twofold. The first purpose is to make the life of Father Richard, the prospective candidate, known to people, and with the hope that people will look upon Richard as a possible intercessor, that he would, because of his holy and heroic life. So the first purpose is to make his life and ministry known, and then the second purpose is to financially support the process, which is 6 stages, the process of him becoming a saint, which is quite lengthy and therefore quite expensive. Most of the expenses, both in the U.S. and in Rome, is really paying for the labor or staff to process the case.
As we know, Father Richard served St. Anne's for decades and is also buried there. Earlier this year, the church received a minor basilica title from the Pope. Can you talk about the importance of that designation?
Sure. The basilica, any basilica outside of Rome is automatically considered a minor basilica. And there are about 1% of the churches in the United States, as well as 1% of the churches in the world, who are named basilica. So it's a very rare honor. We were number 86, and I think there's been 3 more this year. So there's 89 in the United States altogether right now. And the significance of basilica is twofold. One, that it has historic importance in the diocese for which it is located. And secondly, that it has already been known as a place of pilgrimage. And so St. Anne's Church in Detroit has been certainly is the oldest parish in the city, and as you indicated, the second oldest in the country. The current church is our 8th church, which was built in 1886. And so its historical significance in the Archdiocese of Detroit is very well noted. But ever since the Eighth Church, the current church, was built by the Basilian Fathers in 1886, they started a novena to St. Anne, because when this church was built, they had the relics of St. Anne from the previous church that came from Paris. And so they really promoted St. Anne's as a place of pilgrimage. And so for over 100 years, actually probably almost 130 years, the parish has hosted a 9-day novena to St. Anne for her feast day, which her feast day is July 26th. And so literally thousands of people come to that novena every year for the last 100-some years. So it's been a place of pilgrimage to come and pray to St. Anne's intercession for quite some time. And so those two criteria were very clearly demonstrated in the 223-page application to the Vatican Congregation of Worship and Discipline of the Sacraments, who are given the faculty by the Pope to make the determination.
Monsignor, thank you so much for coming on. It was really wonderful talking to you today. Monsignor Charles Kosanke, pastor and rector of the Basilica of St. Anne of Detroit. Thanks again.
You're welcome.